Arnold Toynbee, talking about what this has done for Israel and galvanizing support, bringing the country together. Arnold Toynbee, historian in the study of history, wrote about, in the demise of civilizations, one thing that keeps civilizations going is the external threat. And you know what? And Israel has lived with that external threat. And we see them once again coming together and getting new life. I think it's going to be very fascinating on the other side of this. And I believe they're going to be victorious. But the strength that we see, the renewed strength that we'll see of Israel. Well, joining me now to talk more about this and the history of this conflict, in particular with Gaza, is a senior contributing editor for the Jewish News Syndicate, Carolyn Glick. She is also a senior fellow for Middle East Affairs at the Center for Security Policy in Washington. She's a lecturer at Israel's College of Statesmanship and the host of the Carolyn Glick Show. Carolyn, welcome to Washington Watch. Good to see you again.
Thanks so much for having me on your program, Tony.
So, we've looked at the current things that are as they're unfolding. You have to say that the Israelis are known for their intelligence. I mean, I worked with them back when I was in the anti-terrorist business back in the late 80s and early 90s, and they were the best in the business. Was it the kind of the internal turmoil that maybe distracted them from seeing this unfold?
One of Israel's reporters, Arab Affairs reporters, reported 2 days ago that based on interrogations of one of the terrorists in the south that was taken live by the Israeli military, he said that they were in fact emboldened by the division inside of Israel. So yes, I think it did weaken Israel's position vis-a-vis our enemies, and so it played a role, is what this terrorist apparently said in his interrogation.
What about U.S. policy, as we've seen this administration unfreezing $6 billion to Iran? Any evidence there to suggest that played a part in this?
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to thank President Biden. He gave an important statement today about reinstating his full support for Israel and his readiness to aid Israel in any way necessary, saying that it was his highest priority today. So that was a good. We appreciate that very much. The thing that's mainly concerning for Israel is that just the day before the Hamas attack, Secretary of State Tony Blinken approved another $75 million in aid to the Palestinians, and advancing the cause of the Palestinians against Israel has been a central focus of the Biden administration. People like Hadi Amar, who's the presidential envoy to the Palestinians, has a long history of supporting Palestinian terrorism against Israel, and he has a very senior position in the Biden administration, as does the Director of Intelligence in the National Security Council, Meir Bitar, and other very key people who are responsible for implementing President Biden's Middle East policies in the National Security Council, in the White House, and in the State Department, among other places. So you're right. The administration has also made it, until now, a key goal of their policy to what they call integrate Iran into the Middle East through nuclear appeasement. And to that end, as you mentioned, they just approved the unfreezing of $6 billion in oil revenues from the South Koreans to be transferred to Iran. And so the support that America is now showing for Israel is very, very we're very, very happy to receive it, and it does empower Israel, or at least I think it does strengthen our deterrence, which was obviously undermined in a horrible way on Saturday. But I think it's very important to understand, and for the American people to understand, that we need the United States to treat us as an ally and recognize that our future our future in this region, our existence is at stake here, and the victory that Israel needs to win
Yeah.
is one that will dwarf the victory that we won in the 6-Day War, in the
Let-
sense that, as Prime Minister Netanyahu said, we have to rearrange the pieces on the chessboard that we're living on. And that means recognizing that Hamas is a proxy of Iran, as is Hezbollah in Lebanon, and that Iran is directing this entire thing. They ordered the strikes. They're paying for them. They're providing all of the ammunition and everything that Hamas needs. 93% of Hamas's budget is paid for by Iran, and in order for Israel to truly remain safe, to be safe, we have to obliterate the
Well,
Hamas regime.
let me ask you about that, because when there was disengagement back in 2005, I've been here for a while, and I know you've been around. So I was in meetings when they were discussing that, trying to sell that to evangelicals here in this country. And we see that those policies in the past have repercussions. And that disengagement in allowing self-government there in Gaza, which in 2007 went south with Hamas, we should have seen this coming, should we have not?
Look, I think that the answer is, of course, yes. Israel, like the United States, our national security elite, such as they are, were seduced by the idea that we could define our enemy for our enemy, rather than listen to our enemies and respond to
Absolutely.
him and to understand his nature. And so, the disengagement from Gaza was an insane policy. It was obvious at the time. Many, many, many Israelis, and certainly myself, were warning against it all along and opposed it with every fiber in our being, because we understood that it was going to lead to this.
Right.
And Sharon simply refused to listen.
We're going to run out of time, but from a standpoint of going forward, those external voices of the international community basically pushing appeasement is what led to that. And I heard a resoluteness in Benjamin Netanyahu's voice yesterday, the prime minister, that you're going to finish this. So is this time going to be different?
Of course it is. I mean, we had a Holocaust level atrocity perpetrated against the Jewish people on Saturday. It was something that Israel was established in order to prevent. And Israelis are united in understanding that the Hamas regime in Gaza has to be utterly obliterated. And by the way, what I just wanted to say to end this is that it's not just Hamas. Hezbollah has 250,000 missiles pointing at Israel, and it cannot end this war with those missiles pointing at Israel or being shot at Israel. We have to end their threat against Israel. And finally, goes to Iran itself. You have a country there that is a dictatorship that has been threatening the world, and first and foremost, Israel is on the cusp of nuclear weapons, and its people want to overthrow that regime, and they should be supported in their efforts. And Iran's effort and Iran's attempts or steps that it's taken, in large part thanks to the positions of the Biden administration to appease it, towards the nuclear finish line, have to be pushed back to such a degree that they won't even try to do it again.
I agree. And I know Israel understands timing. And this is the moment, I think, that Israel has the ability to take care of business. And I think the rest of the world, while their attention is there, is not going to say much. But that window closes pretty soon.
Well, we have a people united behind us, and I think that it's very important for Israel and for our friends abroad, like you and your listeners, who we truly admire for your support for Israel, that we make it clear that what starts in Israel doesn't end with Israel. What starts with the Jews doesn't end with the Jews.
Right.
The United States knows what jihad is, even if it's pretended it away. And if we don't defeat the forces of jihad led by Iran here, they will be at your doorstep as well tomorrow.
Well said. Carolyn, let me thank you for joining us, praying for the safety of all of our friends there in Israel. Thanks for taking time to join us tonight.
Thank you very much, and God bless you for your support for Israel. We really appreciate it.